Giant jobs number, no rate cuts, markets explode higher. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, the 4th of February, and of course, a week away from the Super Bowl. And here we are with a giant jobs number on Friday, which doubled what was expected, 353,000 jobs. But what this story doesn't tell you is that the jobs number was not full-time jobs. There are still, the increase in full-time jobs has not gone up. It has gone down. But the number of part-time jobs, which tells you how many people have to work more than one job to survive. Okay. But again, the jobs number itself, everybody's got their eye on it, but who's paying attention to the revisions? Okay. That's the real question, is who's looking at the revisions of the numbers and where are these jobs coming from? Well, as we said, in 2023, 63% of the new jobs added were added by government or special projects. Now, as we go into 2024 with this gigantic jobs number, what do we have? Well, we still have government jobs being added, okay? And, of course, nobody looks at the picture of our wages keeping up with the cost of inflation. The answer is no, okay? Nobody is paying attention to the revisions, which continue to weaken the previous numbers. But, again, the markets soar higher, and we'll get more than our market report, but you can definitely say now that greed is in play, okay? But you've got Jeffrey Gunlock talking about this being another example of the big short, and I could agree with that. Again, obviously, we cannot predict what the next big move is going to be. Certainly, it's been nothing but up, and we're not going to get in the way of it. But I will say to you that very simply that you are seeing the full effect of greed here. And you are seeing the full effect of things that did happen in 1987 and in 2001 and in 2008. And don't be surprised if they happen again within the next year. Again, we can't time this. But of course, now that you're watching what's going on in China, okay, you've got the decision on what's going to happen with Evergrande, okay, and it's very similar, okay, to the destruction of Lehman Brothers. Okay. So again, just because it is in China does not mean the problems cannot come here. You are now watching the commercial real estate losses soar. Now, we know that those commercial real estate losses are going to be eaten by the banks. And we know that when the banks get into trouble, and we have another bank meltdown because they're well over leveraged, because we have a moron running the Federal Reserve, that we're going to see that you and me, the American taxpayer, are going to get the pleasure of paying off these gigantic losses. Now, you heard Chair Powell last Wednesday talk about, well, maybe rate cuts can't come so fast. And I think this is an important thing for everybody to understand. The only reason we will get rate cuts now is if it's politically based, because the markets have certainly originally had run up on the rate cut view. And then, of course, the strong economic data, whether you believe it or not. Okay. Now, again, I can refute a lot of the data that's out there because, again, when you go to the store, you can see a lot of the things that the inflation is not coming down. Okay. Other than the price of oil. And of course, the weakness of oil, it tells you the weakness in the economy. But again, the prices are not coming down. We are starting to see a weakness in the housing market. Okay. The housing sales are down. And of course, rent is up. And so we're seeing all of these things that don't measure up. Okay. Which will tell us that you are now in an all and out greed factor. And we're ignoring the warning signs that are right in front of our face. Now, again, look, I'm not going to tell you to be negative, but I'm just telling you that these things that you're watching, manufacturing is still contracting. It's bad enough that we're predominantly a service economy as it is. But again, when you give up control, you give up the manufacturing, when we gave up the production of our own oil and became the back to the client of OPEC, of course, we are drilling again. But when we became the consumer of Saudi Arabia and OPEC, we're giving up your power. When you have your own natural resources that you can control and you give them up because you want to support other nations, or you don't want to take care of it yourself, or you're trying to pull off some ridiculous climate change process, you are giving up your own power. And I think that as you watch the administration, they continue to give away our power, our control, and the American way. And I think that from a tax code that is so complex that who the hell could ever figure it out when it could be so easy, because we can see how the funding of this to the being closer to war than ever. Now, the real problem here is not only are we closer to war, world war, but we're closer to civil war in this country, which we'll get more into in our commentary. But just the headline, the 4 migrants that attacked the police in New York, okay, and got out and left the state, okay, because there's no bail because of these moronic policies that we're now developing, should really send chills through your spine when you watch what's going on. But we will get more of that in our commentary, of course. Again, food inflation is not dead yet, continues to go higher. The China now approaching the Iraq border, okay, getting ready to take over their oil, okay, which again, you don't think that China doesn't have a plan to take over the world. Well, they do. It has been known. It was called the 100-year plan. Well, it's getting a lot closer. And thank you, President Biden and Vice President Harris and the rest of you assholes that are making this so easy, because you're more interested in stealing money, okay, through the lobbyists, through the politicians. Again, this is not an issue. This is a bipartisan issue, because the whole political system is pretty much corrupt and stealing because of the way that they can do things. And again, I always ask the question, why would any person invest $40 million of their own money to get elected to a $200,000 a year job? The math just never computes. Okay. So I think when you look at what's going on, okay, we need to do something about this political system. Now, President Trump had the right idea when he was in office, but of course, the politicians didn't like having him involved because he was taking away the gravy train. But we have big problems. We have high inflation, which is not accounted for anymore. We have a low income, okay, which is not being accounted for. It's being hidden. And predominantly the new jobs that we're getting are being financed to the government, who is financing the government? Oh, we, the American taxpayer. So get ready to bend over and get it rammed, because if this continues, we're going to have a hell of a big bill to pay. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, February the 4th. February, my God. Let us stop out here for a break. We'll be back with our market commentary right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line. What's up, everybody? Just a reminder of who our sponsors are. As you know, we have sponsors for the show, and they are brokers. And again, I have other brokers, just to give full disclosure. But again, these are brokers that I have vetted. These are brokers that I believe are the best, and I think they're the most reasonable. And of course, there's Capital Trading Group, or CTG for short. They are partners with us in many of our products and programs. And again, they do the greatest job of letter direction trading. And I can't tell you how happy I am with them, because again, they take care of my members, which is the most important thing to me. Check them out. info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba. Okay. And of course, there is also Tradier, which, listen, Tradier is $10 a month flat for options and equity trading. I don't know how you could ever ask for something better than that. Okay. And they have great customer service. They do a great job. It's try.tradier.com/Bubba. And of course, WealthChart's our new partner with the platform, okay, who's tied into both brokers as well. They do a great job. They've got a great platform, and we're going to start using it on our stuff as we get more equipped and learn. but check them out. Everything's on the sidelines here or underneath for our high school program, which is going back into play and should be ready for the school year of 2024-25. But we are getting ready to go back in. So in the meantime, let us get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, February the 4th, a week from the Super Bowl. And of course, markets had another up week. Again, it was interesting. It looked like when you looked at Wednesday, the markets got clobbered because Powell said that we're probably not going to cut rates. And of course, at the end of the day, they really cannot cut rates. It doesn't mean they won't. Again, this would be political. This would not be because it's needed. And of course, I always go back to why do we just not let the free markets decide what rates should be? Because we know that rates can be higher than they are right now. Why? Because people are paying a lot higher through some of the peer-to-peer lenders. But anyways, markets were higher. Okay, and we were long predominantly most of the week. Now we did get whipsawed a little bit in the Qs or in the NASDAQ. But in the meantime, as we go into the new week, we will be long the S&P. We will be long the Dow. We'll be short the Russell and long the NASDAQ. Again, back long the NASDAQ. Again, not that I love it because, again, I don't think we have much more legs to go because of the greed factor. But again, we're not going to get in the way and fight it. I think that, as I've always told you, I believe that's a fool's errand. All right. In the meantime, the dollar index continues to go higher, and everybody complains about the dollar. And why? Okay, we got a strong dollar. What's wrong with a strong dollar? It doesn't hurt your exports. You want to export more, lower your price. It's the same thing as giving up the strength of your dollar. I mean, the dollars buy goods. Okay, so if they buy less or more goods, you can sell your shares and your goods by lowering your price based on what they're buy or sell. Anyways. We don't trade the dollar anymore, not because there's any problem, but just because it's too expensive to trade through the COMEX or the NYMEX, whichever one of those exchanges, I forget. We're still short the euro currency, which continues to be under pressure. But again, it's still higher, and I still believe it's going much lower. But we're still long Bitcoin, okay, which again still looks pretty solid. In the metals markets, we are short gold, we are short silver, and again, they look okay. I mean, look, I think there's going to be big movement, positive movement, but right now the trend is down. Remember, we're playing the trend and using our new models, which I can't go into here. But we are, sometimes flat, even though we know what the actual trend of the market is. In the copper markets, copper remains long. And again, that's to me is illogical as well with the economy, but again, can't fight it. So we're long copper. In the crude oil, okay, we're going to be short. Okay, we're going to be either short tonight or tomorrow, whichever comes, whenever you decide to execute it, we were long. But you can see the weakness in the economy, which is being shown by the action in crude. Okay, I mean, that's a big part of our economy. And when you continue to see it get hammered, we see that Saudi Arabia is not willing to cut production, that's telling you that everybody's worried about the economy, even though they're not. And again, this goes back to what we talk about the greed factor. In the meantime, natural gas continues to get hammered. We are still short. Okay. In the grain markets, boy, what a sight. They never can rally ever again, and they will rally soon, but we are still short across the board. Cattle continue to push up last week, and we don't trade anymore, but we would be short cattle and long hogs. Okay, because again, we're talking about the consumer and what they can afford. And we certainly know that they have trouble affording. They have trouble going to the grocery store. Just look at the overall sales of food. In the meantime, in the softs, cocoa made an all-time new record high. Okay, and we're still long. Sugar continues to go higher. We are long. OJ is exploding again. It is the most fascinating to watch I've seen in a long time. It was almost up limit every day last week. We are long. Cotton, we are long. It continues to recover. As when we gave you the low at 79, I told you it was probably a buying opportunity. And of course, coffee, which we are long. Okay. And the bonds and notes, we are going to reverse to short. Okay. Excuse me. I apologize. We're long the bonds and notes. We were short. Okay. So again, at the end of the day, the markets are markets, and we cannot fight what the markets are doing. It's a fool's errand to try to fight what the markets do and fight the trend. And what I will always tell you is that if you don't think the markets can go higher, this is not the time for you to short. This is the time for you to sit on the sidelines. Now, basically, investors, and that's why we have our hedging program, investors should just stay. No matter what you think, you're going to be hedged. Okay. But whether you're hedging with me or you're not, the better objective is always to stay in the market. Whatever you think, you can trade short around it. You can trade long around it, but your actual core positions will always be better if you keep them in the market because you can't time the market. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, top up, or we're going to step out for a break, and we'll be back with our commentary. I mean, there is no football, but we'll be back with our commentary anyways. Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, I'm not going to go through the whole spiel with the sponsors, but remember, Capital Trading Group, Wealth Charts, Tradier, and of course, our high school program, scrolling on the sides and the bottom. Let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and my commentary and a little Super Bowl talk. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, February the 4th. And of course, every week I give you a little bit of my commentary. And I think that this is one of the most important commentaries I can ever give. And you as an American, if you don't get this, then shame on you. The attack of migrants, illegal immigrants on police that got released without bail is the most horrible thing I've heard in a long time. That you can attack the police, you can get out without bail. Okay, these guys should be in jail. They should be being punished severely for attacking a public servant. Okay, but yet they're on their way to California, and where's the police in New York sitting there holding their putts in their hand with nothing to do? Now, you tell me this is the kind of system you want to live in? Where's the fucking law and order in this country? Okay, if you think that this is a one-off, it is happening all the time. You have places that are closing. You have states that are shutting down. Portland, Seattle, where all the crime is taking place. Okay. Is this the world you want to live in? Okay. I'll tell you what, this country is falling to the shithouse. And if we don't do something about it soon, there'll be no police. It'll be like the wild, wild west, but only worse. In the meantime, again, it's up to you, the voter. It's up to you, the citizen. And if you like what's going on, hey, I can't tell you to not like it, but certainly, if you're a law-abiding citizen, you cannot be happy with what you're watching. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, top up Horowitz. It is Sunday, the 4th of February. And of course, always appreciate you being here. And of course, the Super Bowl is next Sunday. And obviously, we do like Kansas City in the game. But we will give you some props during the week on Bubba's Daily Update just to check it out if you're a player. If not, no big deal, but we'll give you some of our thoughts. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. As always, I thank you for being here. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, February the 4th. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll see you later.